Hello everyone, welcome to Katalon Studio tutorial series. And in this video, we are going to talk about the Katalon Studio and also we'll see installation to Katalon Studio. So this is a Katalon Studio series where you will learn about the Katalon, you will get to know what Katalon is and why we are using Katalon. In fact, we'll practice different programs here. In fact, we'll go through a project session where we'll see how the Katalon is working. So you'll get the complete knowledge of Katalon. So keep watching these videos and you'll get updated to all the components related to Katalon. So first, let's understand what Katalon is basically. So if we talk about Katalon, Katalon is a simple and powerful automation solution built for tester everywhere. So the software is built on top of open source automation frameworks like Selenium, APM with a special IDE interface for web, API, mobile, and desktop application testing. That means this Katalon Studio is built on top of all the automation frameworks that's related to web, API, mobile, and desktop. So we can use on all these four platforms. So that's the beauty of Katalon Studio. It's overcome all the four platforms and it works same as it works in case of frameworks. It integrates all necessary components with built-in keywords and project templates into a simple automation frameworks. So it's like we have built-in keywords here. The one that we used to use in case of Selenium, we used to write our own codes. In fact, we need to use only the methods there, but here we have built-in keyword that will perform all the activities that we used to do there in terms of code. So that's why Katalon is said as no code, or you say codeless automation tool. That's the reason behind. Now, what are the key factors of Katalon Studio? So basically, it's a simple hassle-free development. You can say it's basically complete development package that contains everything you need to deploy a powerful test automation tool. Second, quick and easy setup. Not only providing simple installation, but Katalon also make it easy to set up the environment. Testers can run with the first test script quick once the pre-installed templates and test scripts such as object repositories and keyword libraries. So basically based on the libraries and the objects, we can easily write the test scripts, and you can say the installation process, that's the most easiest thing that you have ever seen in any platform. So in case of Katalon Studio, the installation is very easy, better and fast results. So obviously, if everything is defined here, if you have your own keywords, you have built-ins here, so it's quite sure that the executions will be better and fast. So you'll have the results very fast here. That's what Katalon gives you. So the working is very fast in case of Katalon. Flexible mode means new testers can use recording and keywords to build automation tests, while expert testers have a full IDE to build an advanced script. So basically, you can say those who are new to this automation field, they can easily go through the keywords and the record things that are available in Katalon. So that will give you familiar, that basically it will make you familiar with the framework things, the automation process. And for the advanced, there is an IDE where you can write your advanced script. Now, one very important comparison just to understand about Katalon Studio is why choosing Katalon Studio over the open source frameworks. So basically, Katalon, what it does, it hides all the technical complexities behind the scenes and provide friendly UI with manual mode. So automation in manual mode is interesting. So Katalon Studio does that. It basically gives you a UI in that form that makes like quite easy for you. And the necessary thing about this Katalon is it's more technically powerful users who are able to dig deeper into the coding with scripting mode. So if you are new or you want to take easy, you want to just try the easy testing process here in Katalon, then straight away you can practice these things or do this thing in manual mode. But for them who are real-time testers, or those who like testing, or those who want to go more deep into the testing process, so there is a scripting mode as well. That means you can write your own scripts and make them work accordingly. So you have both the modes, and the manual as well as the scripting mode. So manual makes things easier, and scripting, it's like more deep if you want to get into the testing process. With Selenium, users has to go through technical guidance for their API, integrate them into IDE and a preferred programming language. All you have to do. So in Selenium, it was like we have to add the jar files, we have to integrate deep, we have to go with the programming language. Too many things we have to take care of. But in case of Katalon, it's like just go do the installation on your computer. Minimum installation is required, and all the details will be by default added to your platform. So that's good about Katalon. Now, third thing, Katalon contains predefined sets of commonly used keywords or actions. User will find them enough to start implementing more test cases. But if they have more advanced or specific need, they still have to create custom keywords for their project. So custom keywords are an extensible of keywords, extensions of built-in keywords. So basically built-in keywords we have from in Katalon Studio by default. So there are multiple of built-in keywords, but still as a tester, you want to add more custom keywords so you can build your own custom keywords and make them working. So that's the reason behind why we go for Katalon instead of frameworks, why we prefer more Katalon Studio than frameworks in these days. And you know that Katalon is codeless automation tool, so mostly it's like more of AI coming into use. So that's the reason behind Katalon Studio. That's the reason behind using Katalon Studio. Now let's see the installation process. Now the installation process is very simple. What you have to do here is just you have to go and right here in Google, download Katalon Studio. Download Katalon Studio for Windows. Right now I'm using Windows, so I'm doing for that. So when you do this, it takes you to the official website of Katalon and it says download Katalon Studio. Now, when you are into this, you have two options, Katalon Studio Enterprise, and it says Katalon Runtime Engine. So if you read this description, it says that this is mostly used for the Selenium projects. And if you read this one in details, you'll get to know that this is used for the complete setup. Complete setup like for the Jenkins, for GitHub. In fact, Docker, like in future, if you're going to use Docker, all of these are there in Katalon Runtime Engine. So I'll download this one. Now, it's like if you want to download straight away, you click download and you'll be able to download. And that's downloading in my system as well. But still, one thing what you have to do here is you have to register here. Now it says start free trial. Free trial means that it's obvious that after some time, that means after a month of time, it will ask for a paid thing. So in that case, you have to play smartly. How will you play smartly? Instead of going for the paid version, register with a new email address. So next time you will have again that thing for next 1 month. So this you can use till you are in the learning process. When you start working, you will get the paid versions. So don't worry about it. But it's quite easy that you can use it for like regular basis. You can use it for longer just by changing the email address and details here. So right now I'm trying to create an account with name of Infotech Solutions. And I'll give the email address. infotech-solutions.com, and password it's like I'll give my own password. Just do and say start testing. So now you have created an account with your email address. What it says, the email does not exist, please try again. Oh, I've done a mistake here. Oh, this time it will work. So I've created one with this my own email address. So now I'll use this email address till 1 month. After that, again, if it asks for subscription, I'll come here, I'll create one more account and I'll run with that. So obviously everyone has more than one email address, so you can easily use it. Now, once you have registered, what you need to do is it will give you an account verification mail at your email address. So just check that mail and here say what's your primary role. Like my case, it's automation specialist. So I'll take that. So just you have to answer a few things and back to that platform. So now I'm ready to create my first project. But before that, I have to check this folder. So what we have in this folder, it's like it's in zip form. So I'll just unzip this folder. So I'll go to the download section. And I said in beginning, the installation is very easy. That means it's very easy. This is Katalon Studio. So I'll do this. I'll just extract all and I'll extract it. Just this will take another minute of time. So I've already used the email address and all, so it's there. Now just I will extract this, and I hope, yeah, it's here. It's taking time or it's done. Yeah, I did it twice, I think so. Okay, let's wait for this. It's extracting this content from Katalon Studio. So you'll have it here. And after this, we'll just run the Katalon platform and then we'll start working. Okay, now this Katalon Studio platform is extract. Now when I open this, it says katalon.exe. So you see this katalon.exe. So when you open this for the first time, it's basically the command prompt here. So I have to look for that Katalon, or basically you will get a Katalon folder here. You have the Katalon thing available by default here. Once this Katalon Studio is extract, then what we have to do, we have to go to our C drive. In C drive, move to your users folder and then select the folder that you have. Like for me, Truba is the folder. So I'll open this. From here, you see this .katalon. So open this. So when you open this .katalon, inside packages, in .katalon, inside the packages, you will have this Katalon folder. Open this folder in deep, and here you will find katalon.exe. So double click here. In some cases, you'll find it in the download section also as well. So you look for this katalon.exe. When you do this, the Katalon platform will open. So in my case, it was inside the C folder. So I have to go there. Now here you need to enter your email address, the one that you used for registration purpose. So I'm using that, fotech.solutions.com. Now I'll give the password and I say active. So basically the platform in Katalon is active now. So getting organization, basically it's getting the details from Katalon platform. So from here, if you are using web UI, select web UI. If you are using mobile, select mobile. If you are using API, select API. If you are using desktop, select that. And if you are using BDD, then that. So right now I'm using web UI, so I'll select this one. So now your Katalon Studio platform is ready, installed, and you see the installation is so easy. Just download just this folder, just search this. So this, you have to just go inside your folder and then search for .katalon. And inside packages, you will find the folder and just come to this katalon.exe. So this is the one that you have to look for. Done. The platform is ready. And if you want to see the time period that you will get to know, like here it's saying, no, I don't want to exit right now. So here, if in next project, in next section, we'll see how to create our project and work on this Katalon platform. That's all in this video. See you in next video. Till then, bye-bye and thank you. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. In this very first video of Katalon Studio, we'll see how to create a project in Katalon Studio platform. So to create a project is very easy here. As like here, you have to go to this file option. From file, you'll come to this new option, and from new, you'll click the project option. So when you do this, basically it asks for the project name. So here you need to give the project name. So I give the project name as IT Learn 360 portal. So basically this is the one that we are using for the testing purpose. So that's why I named the project as IT Learn 360 portal. So here, after naming the project, you need to select the type of project. So here you have different types, like one of the type is web, the next one is API/web services, next is mobile, another is desktop, and then generic. So basically when I was talking about the Katalon in the introduction section there, I mentioned that the Katalon Studio we can use in this different ways. So right now I'm using for the web applications. So I'll select this web option. Now here in project, you have multiple of options in drop down. Now these multiple options that you see in drop down is by default a project that's present in Katalon Studio. So if you want to use it, you can straight away use it from here. But right now I'm trying to build my own project. So I just leave it as blank. Now no need to give this repository URL. Now for the location, basically it says that at this particular location, the project is safe. So once you build the project, that project will save in this section. Now, if you want to add any description to your project, you can add it here. If not, then leave it blank and just press OK. So when you do this, you see operation is in progress and it's enabling test OP integration because you remember we have taken the one that is basically the enterprise version. So that's why it allows test OPS as well. So now here I say okay, and now the project is built. So you see a project with ITLearn 360 portal name is built. Now let's understand the different folders that comes along with this project. So here you find these folders like profile that's by default present. This is for test cases where you are going to write your test cases. Object repository is basically a folder that gives object of each and every element. Test suites basically helps to run the test cases. Data files is for the Excel sheets. Checkpoints are basically to put some checkpoints to our test cases. Keywords are basically the one that we are going to add, or basically the keywords that we create on our own. Test listener is basically the one that will help you to set the execution, just to set the behavior of the outputs. And in reports, you will get the reports of all the executions of your test case. Now, what you see here is basically these are the folders that's available with every project. So based on your requirement, you'll be using these folders and you'll be adding the stuffs there itself, the one that's required for that particular section. So the best thing about this is you have some folders that's already created and you need to know that how to use them. So creating a project is very simple step that we have done. Now, after this, we'll write some test case and we'll see how different options are working. That's all in this video. See you in next video with a new topic. Till then, bye-bye. Thank you. In last section, just we checked how to create a project. Now we'll see different modes of testing. So basically why we are going with different modes of testing is because in Katalon, basically the testing is done in different modes. And what are these different modes? Record and replay modes, manual modes, and script modes. Now, all these three modes do the same task and all are interrelated to each other. But the thing is that we need to know that how they are interrelated. And in some cases, it will be like the record mode will be helpful for you. In some cases, manual mode will be helpful for you. And in some cases, script mode. So what the reason behind we are learning all these modes is just to get familiar with all the different way of automating a website. So right now I'm taking an example of a website that is demoitlearn360.com, the one that we commonly use for the login process. So here, usually if to log in, what we do, we click on the login button, we enter our username, we enter our password, click on the login button again, and we are logged in. Now this is the process manually. Now the same thing I'm going to do through automation, and you'll find it similar when you will start doing this. So the first test case that we are going to write, we will write in record mode. The second one in manual mode, third one in script mode. Now the steps are written here. So if you go with the steps, it says right click on the test case and create a new folder. So basically it's asking to create a new folder inside the test case folder. So this is my test case folder. And in this test case folder, I'm creating a new folder. So I'll create this folder with name as modes of testing. Fine. Now, once this is created, now inside this folder, just right click and create a new test case. And it says in test case view, click on record button, locate it in the top toolbar at top. This will open the record dialog box. In record dialog box, select the web recorder. option if you are testing a web application. In URL, enter the URL. 6, click on expand button to track the actions. Let's do this. So in this, I'll create a new test case inside this folder. So to create a new test case, just go to new. From new, go to this test case option and right here. So I'll say record login process. So now the test case is created. So once the test case is created, you'll find the screen somewhat like this. Here you have different options like item, object, input, output, description. Now these all, the values will be added here by default in record version. How is that possible? Now in this section, in the toolbar section, you will find different options here. The first one is spy web, second one is record web, then it's desktop web, and again it goes on. Basically, it's for mobile, desktop, and web. Right now, we are dealing with web application. So we'll click on this record web option. So when you click on this button, so what happens? You see a web folder, a web recorder option is available here. Now here you need to put the URL of the website that you are trying to test. So this is the URL of the website that I'm trying to test. So I put the URL here. Now when you see in this record option to start recording, before to start recording, you need to know different options here. So you have different options like Chrome, Firefox, Edge, Internet Explorer. Again, the active browsers are these three. That means I have these three browsers in my system. So you have to do nothing. Just you have to find these browsers by itself. By default, these browsers will be available for you. If in case the drivers are not available, then it will give you that option that the latest driver is not installed. Please install. And once you install, then you will be okay to use it. Now, when you click on this record button, you see, when I click on this record button, then you see this URL will open in the driver. Basically, this is the driver, Chrome driver, similar to the Chrome browser. And this driver is used for testing browser purpose. So we don't call it as Google Chrome, but we call it as Chrome driver that works similarly as Google Chrome, and we perform our task here. So the first thing is I just click on the record button and the URL is open. Now, just to track our steps, what we are doing, or just to track our actions, I'll click on this expand button. And when I click on this expand button, you see here, the steps are tracked here. So the first step is open browser. Second one is navigate to URL. So first thing what it did, it opened our Chrome driver. Second what it did, it navigated to this website. That step is tracked here. Now just you need to know what you have to do. You have to click on this login button. Take your mouse to this login button, click on this. Now you see the third step is passed here. Click, and that also in login button. Now what's my next step? So basically what I'm doing, whatever I'm doing here, those steps are tracked and added to this record action. Now here in username, I'll enter the username. And once I enter the username, you see set text, basically the task what I'm performing, this is the object and this is the value that I'm passing. Same with the password. I do test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and again $. So the value that I pass. Now the value that I pass in password, that gets encrypted here. Now the scene is that the best thing about this Katalon Studio is if you want to show this value, you can show it. If you want to encrypt this value, then by default, this will get encrypted. So it says as set encrypted text. So the password is a sensitive data, so that one is encrypted. At last, click on login. And now you see we are logged into the website. So basically what's happening, we are performing the action and those actions are tracked. So just I'm trying to track this option. That means I'm trying to record this option. I'm not doing testing right now. I'm just recording the actions so that when I perform testing, these actions should perform. Now, this is the thing that I was trying to do. I was trying to enter the username, password, click on the login button and see that I'm logged in or not. Once everything is done, at the end, I like to close the browser. So I just click the cross button and you see the browser is closed. Right now, the actions are recorded. Now, just to use this action, what you have to do, you have to click Save Script option. One more point I'll add here is that if in case by mistake you have added a step that you don't want to use in your test case, then go to that particular section, click on this remove button, and that section will remove from there by itself. Right now, all my steps are good enough, so I'm not removing anything. In future examples, I'll remove something and show you how we remove things. Right now, I've recorded all my actions. I'll click on Save Script. Now, once I click on Save Script, it says Add New Folder Structure below. So basically, for every sections, you'll find some object. Now, what these objects are, now you need to know this. So if you go to this demo ID Learn 360 website that's I'm opening in my browser, and if you go to any section, like if you go to this section, or you say if you go to this login button, in fact. So if you go to this section, itlearn360.com. Now, just to track this section, you need to know the object or the values of that section that's present here. Now, again, because this thing is open, so I'm not able to show you that thing. But basically, I'll show you again this thing. So here, what happens in object folder for every element, like this login button was my element. So just to track that login button, a value is passed so that when I run my test case, this section will be tracked. And these values by default goes to object repository. So when I click on object repository and I do OK, by default, you will see the values are added to this object repository. In object repository, a folder is created. Inside these folders, these objects are added. Now, what are these objects? You see, for every section, like if I talk about this login button, I go to this button, I right click, I inspect. So there is some values basically present inside this section. Now you see this highlighted section. So in this highlighted section, you will find some values. Basically, we call it as locators that helps you to track that particular element. Now, when we do automation testing in Selenium, we go through each and every locators like this ID, class name, XPath. We go through those locators and track those elements. But in this case, the best thing about the Katalon is this part of this section is cut off from here, and Katalon do that hard work. It track those elements, keep the record of those elements in object repository. And what we have to do nothing, just we have to use these objects. Because we have recorded these sections, so these objects are here, and you see the script that I saved, that script is added to this section by default. So that means the object section, the object values are added by default. Like a login is the object for the login button, username is the object for the username section, password is the object for. So basically, I have to do nothing. By itself, it identifies its section and add those steps. So this object works along with the test case. So for every test case, you'll have this object, and these objects are recorded by default. Remember this thing. We have to do nothing. Just we have to go, just click on those sections, and by itself, those objects will be tracked. And the reason behind why I'm tracking these objects is right now, I have not done any testing. I have just recorded the actions. Now I'm going to do testing. Now, the next thing what I'm going to do is I'm going to perform testing. So how to perform testing? You see the run button here. On top, you will see the run button. Click on this run button. Now, based on the recorded actions, the actions that you recorded, based on this, the test case will run, and you will be able to see the actions performing here in log viewer. So based on that, the test case, the actions are performing. And once the actions are performing, you will see based on the actions, is it giving you the output? So the first step, if you see, was the open the URL. That's opened here. The second step was to click on login button. It's clicked. Username is passed. Password is passed. Click login, and I'm able to log in. And at last, it was closed browser. Now, once I do this, then I get this report as passed. And here I have the track of all the past reports. That's the story. So that's how the complete process was. Once we track the actions, and when we do the same thing when we are doing in automation with Selenium, there we used to go, we write the codes for those sections. We used to track those sections, and then we used to write codes for them. Here, no need to write codes, no need to go inspect element and get the values. Just perform your task. Based on that task, the actions will be recorded. The values will be stored by default in object repository folder. And once everything is done, just click on run button and the test case will run. That's the story behind this test case and executing the test case. So if you are performing record, you can perform these ways. Now, the same thing you can do through manual. In that case, you have to write these steps manually that you'll see in next section. So you have that option. So if this looks interesting, because once while performing actions, while tracking the actions, I do that steps. Once the actions are tracked, then I make them to run as a test case. So I have the clearance that, okay, the actions based on the test case what we are performing, it runs the same when the test case is executed. So that's how the test case works in case of record and replay. So one was record, now I'm replaying the same thing. That's all the story of record and replay. I hope this is clear. In next section, we'll talk about the manual script. There we'll see how we can write the same script manually. In this section, we are going to see case in manual mode. In last section, just we saw how to write the test case in record mode. Now we'll see in the manual mode. So writing the test case in manual mode is as simple as for the record mode. Now, a few things what needed to write a test case is, first, which items we are going to perform. That means which, like open browser, navigate, click. So we need to know what items we are going to perform. That's usually mentioned in case when you'll get the test cases. Second thing is we need to track the object. Right now, for this login process, this object is tracked. But think about, if we don't have this object, how will I track these objects? So there are both ways of doing. One, while we record it, we get these things by default. Second one is, when we try to do this manually, we can track these objects on our own. And how is that possible? You see this spy web. Last time we talked about this spy web. You need to go click on spy web, and I'm using the same website here. That means I'm using this demo ITLearn 360 website here, again, the same one. So copy this website, click on the spy web, put this website link here, and just say start. So when you do start, the same way, the way the Chrome driver opened in case of record and replay, same way the driver will open. Now, in this case, what you have to do, you have to go to that specific section. Like this is login is my specific section. So you have to go to that specific section. Just check. You go to this specific section, right click here, and you find this option capture object. Now, when you click on this capture object, you see the object is captured here. Now, these objects you got in case of record by default. So now I'm trying to capture the object on my own. So I've captured the object for login button. Now, next I have to capture the object for username. So again, I'll go to this username section, click here, right click, and capture the object. Same for the password, same for the login button. But now, because I have these objects, I'm not trying to capture them all, but still I'll show you how we can capture the object. Go to that section, right click, go to this option, capture object, and capture that particular object. If you are not able to do it this way, then you have another option, that is you press Alt plus this sign. Press these two buttons together, and that particular section will, that particular object will be captured. Like if I want to capture for this password, I press Alt and that button together, and this section will be captured. You see, I have pressed from my keyboard and this section is captured. So there are two ways of capturing: either right click, capture the click the capture object option, or just press Alt and that key. So both this Alt plus and this key, it's mentioned here, Alt plus this key. So when you click this key, to capture object, you have to press Alt and the key sign is there. So when you press both together, that particular object is captured. Now, because I have captured this object, I'm not capturing it again. Just I close it from here. And let's see how we'll try this thing in manual case. So I'll name a new test case and name this time in the same folder. I'll name the test case as manual test case. Now, once you do manual test case, when you write manual test case, you have these the screen again available. What you have to do here is, the first thing is you have to open the browser. Second step is you have to navigate to URL. So click on in this add button. And when you click on this add button, the first row is available for you. And in this, go here, right, navigate. And you see navigate to URL is available by default. So what's important here? To know the item that you are trying to perform here, to get the object value. Now the next one after this is navigate to URL. Before that is open browser. Now by mistake, I have missed that section, open browser. So what I will do, I'll click the delete button and this section is delete. Again, I'll click the add button and write open browser. So this will open the browser. Now next step, if you want to add, again, click the add button and write here, navigate to URL. Now, when you are trying to navigate to URL, you have to pass the website link. So just to pass the website link, in input section, go double click here, and in values, you have to enter the value that you have to pass. I passed this value, I pressed OK, and this value is passed over here. So first step, open browser. Second one, navigate to URL. Now, what's the third step? Enter the third step is click on login button. So now you see items you will get in test cases, that what items you have to perform. So the third item here is click. So I just write CLI and I get that click option in chat. I press this click. Okay. Now when I press this click, then in this input section, first in object section, I have to pass that object value that is present in object repository. Because when I pass this object value, then it will get to know that in which section you have to click. So to do this, either you double click here. What happens? The object folder is available. Click on this arrow button and take the object which you want to pass here. So this is the object I want to pass. That's passed over here. Now next option is to set text. That means enter the username and password. So to set text, you have to write set. And by default, you get this set text option here in dropdown. Take this option. Now, again, you go, double click here, take the object from here. That's the option Other way is, this username is the object that you want to put it there. So drag this, drop it in the object section, and you see this object is passed over here. See the beauty, if you have these objects, you can easily do these tasks. Again, in input section, go to these values, enter the value, and this value is recorded here. Now, again, the next step is password. Click on this. Now, you have two options of putting the password. Either you can set text or you can do set encrypted text. So when you do encrypted text, that case, the password that you will pass, that will not be visible to all. So I know that this is the object for password because it says input password. I drag, drop it here. Now I put the password. So you see the value that you will put in password. This is my password. And this is the value that I'm putting. By default, it encrypts. And I click on insert and the encrypted value is here. Again, the third step is to click on the login submit button. Take this object, drag it from here, drop it here, done. If you want to add the last step, close browser, click this, and the browser is closed. So now if you match both the test cases, you see everything is same. Nothing is different. Like here, just by default, by mistake, this one has come up. Just I have to add it here and I'll say close browser. So, when we have performed, we did it right. So every steps are same. See the same thing I'm doing through manual test. If you see everything, whatever I'm writing the same way. Just the difference was here it was recorded and here I'm writing it manually and nothing is changed here. So just you are learning different ways of writing test case and nothing else. the complete code, the complete description, everything remains the same. Remember that. Nothing changes here. Now just do save this, press Ctrl S, and this test case is saved. Now I'll go back to my manual test case, click on run button, and just watch my test case is running. So it will run the same way like it ran in case of record and replay. Now you see the browser is opening. Again, the URL is passed. Click on login button. Enter the username. Enter the password. Click on login. Test case pass. Close. All done. Now you will observe this difference when you will try both the examples on your system. So you will see, just match the things and you'll find it similar. Just these are different ways of doing. And when you will do real-time test cases, you will see that at some places, the recorded one is not working, the manual one is needed. So you will realize that, yeah, at this place I need this thing, at this place I need this thing. So you'll realize that thing. Said, okay, it's better to know all these options. That's why I'm explaining you all. So try these examples. This you'll find it very interesting. And now we'll talk in next section. We'll talk about the last mode of our test case, that is script mode. And that also you will find it interesting when you will see all three in one screen. And when you will see the relation, you will find it like it's everything available there. Just we need to recognize that. We'll see the beauty of that in next section. In this video, we are going to see how to write the test cases in script mode. So last time we saw how to write the test case in manual mode, in login process, basically in record mode. Now we'll see how to write in script mode. So as usual, we'll go to this new, we'll go to test case and create the test case as script mode. Fine. Now when you do script mode, basically you get this screen here. So what you have to do is you go and click on this script here. So when you click on this script here, you get this tab open, and it's like, you see when you click plus, you'll see all the import lines over here. These are the import lines here. And here I'll be writing web UI dot open. So this will be open browser. Now this is for open browser. So we use this web UI is now a keyword here. That's basically used for calling all methods. Now, second step after is to navigate to URL. So I'll take this navigate to URL, and here I'll pass the URL link. That means this is my URL link, is it? So I'll pass the URL link. I'm using the same test case. I'm not changing the test case. So it will be easy for you to understand the difference. Now here I pass the URL. Now what's my next step? That is click on the login button. So I do web UI dot, and I say click. Now when I do click, here it asks for the test object. Now we need to find the test object from our object repository section. So when I go to this object repository section, from this section, I'll find the test object for what? For login. So I drag and drop it here. Now I have to drop this thing inside the bracket, but I'm not able to. So I drag and drop it here. Now it's inside the bracket. So the click will perform here. Now next thing is web UI dot set text dot set. I'll say web UI dot set text. Now in this set text, I'll pass two things. First, the object thing. Second, we'll pass the value, the text which we are trying to pass here. That means the username. So just again, drag this object, drop it inside this bracket. Now again, I've dropped it in the long place. So I have to drop it before the comma. That is this. Now again. So basically, while dragging and dropping, you'll have this problem, but it's fine. You have to see what we are doing. So first, we pass the object here. This is the object. Now I'll pass the value here. So what's the value? That is the username. Next step, I have to pass the password. So I'll say again set, I'll say dot set. Again, after dot, you have to hold for some second. You'll have this option available. So you take this option, set text. Again, here you have to pass the object. So this time copy the password, drop it here, and wait a minute. This password is dragged and copied here. Paste it. And here again, pass the password manually. And at last, what we have to do is we have to click the submit button. So again, I'll use here, click. So I'll use click here and remove the value from here. And I'll click on the submit button and pass it here. Again, drag it, drop it here. So the click is performed. Now at last, what I'll do, I'll close the browser. So I'll say webui.close browser. This one. Fine. So all of these 4 steps are added over here. Now, once all are added, let me run my test case. So this is how we write test case in script mode. So remember, web UI is the keyword that's basically used to call the methods. And basically the methods are same that we do in case of manual and as well as in case of record. Just the objects, we drag it from there, we drop it here, and just we pass values accordingly. So this is how you write scripts. This will be in form of scripts. The same thing we are doing in manual, same thing we are doing in record, but there we were making things easy, like we are just going, selecting, taking the object values, passing it, and we are doing it. Same here, we are writing script for that, only the difference is that. Now here, once the test case is passed, everything is done, I'll show you the complete concept here. For record, you recorded the steps, and after recording everything, the steps looked like the manual, the way you write the code manually. So it's looked like that. So it means right now you are in manual tab. Now, if you talk about script, for every manual phase or for every test case that you write, when you click on script, you see by default the script is created. So in this case, you have to do nothing. This script is generated by default. But still, I wrote this script mode because I wanted to show you that if you are planning to write it manually, how you will write it. That's only the reason. Basically, if you write in any one mode, the rest modes are auto-generated. So remember that if you write the script in the script mode, the manual mode will auto-generated. Like this is the script mode. When you click on manual, you see this is how the manual mode looks like. So it's so very simple. So write in any one mode, you'll have all the 3 modes available. Just the thing is that you need to know how to write them, because in future you'll be writing scripts. So I made you familiar with the script point. That's how we write codes in form of script. So these are the different modes that we use while writing our test cases. That's all in this video. Thank you. Now we have checked different modes of testing using Katalon Studio. Now what we are going to see is how we can automate a form in Katalon Studio. Now automate a form in Katalon Studio, what I mean by this? It's like just if you come across the forms when you do basically the sign in, or just when you put the feedback forms, just these types of form, or when you do registrations. So usually you come across these types of forms. So this is the website that we have to test here. So here, just we'll see how we can perform testing here manually, like, automation. So automation, we'll see how we can perform testing through automation. So what we have to do, we have to enter the name, we have to enter the email, we have to enter the website, we have to comment, we have to click on these buttons and see whether these buttons are working or not. We have to click on these checkbox, as well as click on these drop downs, and at last click the send button. So when you click the send button, you will find the values are passed in the input section. That's what our task is here. So Now we'll try this through Katalon Studio. We'll try to fill this form through Katalon Studio. So get to Katalon Studio. Now this was modes of testing. So let me create a new folder where I'll name it as fill form. Yeah, that's fine. And inside this, I'll create a test case, name it as automate form. So now, as you are familiar with all the modes of testing, now from here, it's your choice which mode you are going to select. So you can go for any one of these modes. I prefer going with record and replay because that seems to be easy. I can easily record the object. I can easily enter the values and replay them. So just to perform this testing through record, I'll click on this record web, copy the website URL from here itself, from the seed itself. Yeah, copy and paste it here. Now I'll click on this expand button so that I can record all the steps that I'm doing. Click the record button. So first the browser will open as usual. Once the browser is open, you will have the form in the screen. So once the form is here, just I'll enter the values name. I'll give my name, email address. I'll give the email address. Again, website. I'll say the website is this is the website. Now comment. It is a good website to learn testing. Now click on female, click on male, as well as click on others. So I'm performing click on all these three sections. Now I click on bike. This car is clicked by default. So if I click on this car, this one will get deselected. So what I will do, I'll not click on car, I'll click on board, I'll click on horse. Now for drop down, right now the value there is US. Just I'll change the value to Ethiopia. Let's see whether this value is selected or not. Same for this section. I'll just scroll, I'll click on this programming, yeah. And then click the send button. So this is the steps that I'm performing here, basically. Now all these steps are recorded. Just I'll click on save script. All the objects for these sections are recorded as well. Now do OK and done. So you see in these page section, all the objects are recorded. The steps are written. I want to add one more step here is close browser. Done. Just save this by pressing Ctrl S. When you press Ctrl S, you'll see an asterisk sign will remove from here. Click on run button and let's see the test case is passed or not. So basically I'm doing these test cases just to make you familiar with the things that's coming across and a little bit explore yourself, basically explore like how you write test cases, how you pass test cases. You just like you're doing your hands free on this. So right now you see the values are passed one by one. Again, female, male, others, it's clicked everywhere. Again, clicked on all the checkbox. And when you do input, all the values are passed, all the test is passed here. So just few things that you have to focus here is that now you're familiar with the script section. So I'm explaining you in script section. When you are trying to use the drop down, there you use this method, select option by value. So remember, when you write this drop down, when you write the drop down manually, then in that case, you will use this method, select option by value. Again, the object is passed. And in this section, when you double click on this section, it says the value that you are trying to select here in drop down and the Boolean, it should be true. That means it should go select and pass it here. So these things you have to focus when you are doing it manually. It's like not that you have done it through record and it's working, but still you should know the basic or you say the core part of it, where the values are passed and how these values are passed. It's very important to know. So this is how you can perform a test case on form in future if you come across any test case. Just apply this way and that test case will get automated. Now in next section, we'll talk about the different actions that we can perform in a website using Katalon Studio. In this section, we'll talk about the alerts in a page. So if you see this QA, training QA online training portal, here you see, basically you have the alerts buttons also available in bottom. So last time we just automated the form. Now we will automate the buttons here, the alert buttons here. So here we have basically three different types of alert. The first one is when you click the alert button, you get the alert box and you have one option that is to accept the alert. Again, when you click the second alert, what happens? You have two options. Either you can accept the alert or you can cancel the alert. And in third one, it's like the value that you pass here, that value will pass to this input box, and that means the alert, when you accept it, that value will pass. If you cancel, then that particular alert will cancel. Now, how you can perform these alerts through automation in Katalon Studio? So again, the steps are very simple. Just you have to go to this form section, and here you have to create a new test case, and this time name the test case as alert test case. Now, once the test case is created, let's go through the record process. So the record process is like, again, click on this record web. When you do, the website link is passed. Click on the record button. When the record button is clicked, you will have the website here. Scroll it down straight away. Click on this alert button. You have this alert box here. So when you click, now you see expand this script. So when you click on this alert button, you have this alert box, but you don't get that option to click on the OK or cancel option. Same is the case here. When you are doing this thing, then in this case, you don't find, you have that option there, but you don't get that permission that you go pass the values and then do it. You see, same is the case, because the thing that's here, it moves fast very soon. So what I've done here is I've added, taken the object for these three. Now, just to pass values or just to accept the alert or to cancel the alert, we'll write steps manually. That's the reason behind why we studied all the three modes, because I told you at some end, they will add steps manually, and that's required. So now I have these three alert buttons available. Now, one thing is that I'll save the script and I'll do OK. So basically all goes to the objects. Now, what is the step? Once the website is open, click on button alert me. That is this one. Click on this. Then you will have the alert box, and then you have the option as OK. So remember, when you are trying to accept an alert, now just here you will do one thing. Just next to this, you will click add. So now when you are trying to accept alert, you will use accept alert method. So when you use accept alert, that means you are trying to accept the alert. Second one is here, again, the alert me. In alert me button, you have just one option, that is accept the alert. So this is one step extra added to my test case. So what I'll do, I'll delete this. Now, what's next? Confirm me. So in this, I'll add one more step. Now here in accept alert, what I'll do, first one was accept. Now here I have both the options. Either I can accept the alerts in confirm me, or I can dismiss. So to accept, you know that we'll use the accept alert. Here, let's dismiss the alert. So instead of this accept alert, we'll write here dismiss alert. So what will happen? That particular alert will dismiss. Now comes the third one, that is prompt alert. So let me add a step here. So in case of prompt alert, basically what happens, I'm trying to enter a value. Basically, I'm trying to set alert text. That's what I'm trying to do here. So if you are trying to set alert text, do this, click here, enter the text value, like enter hi John. Okay. And just after this, now once you have entered the value for the third one, cancelled. And for the third one, once you enter the value, hi John, after that, what do? You accept the alert. That means that value is passed here. So the next step after this will be accept alert. So we have written our test case here. First, I clicked on the alert button, then I accept the alert. So that means that alert was accepted. Second, I click the confirm button, then I dismiss the alert. That means that particular alert was dismissed. Third was prompt me, where I set alert text, and that text was again accepted. So that's the story here. Basically, if you see that, you go, click, accept, and do that. Now, let's run the test case. So what I've done here is like the steps like accept alert, dismiss alert, set test alert. These things we have added manually. So in some cases, scenario comes where you add steps basically, and then you add some steps manually. So that's the story. You see, everything is working. Test case passed. That means all alerts are working fine. Everything goes good. This is how you handle the alerts in Katalon Studio. So when you come across an alert in a website, so you'll be clear that, okay, this is the way to accept to handle the alerts. So just handle the alerts this way. Important thing is to know the methods, how to accept, how to dismiss the alert, or how to send a value to a particular alert box. That's all about the alerts. In next section, we'll talk about the actions, basically different types of actions that we come across while testing a web page. In this section, we are going to check how to fetch the title of current page using Katalon Studio. This is a very simple thing. Just what you have to do is you have to look for the title. Like just if you see this website demo Katalon 360, and if I look for the title of this page, so how will get the title? Every page basically contains some title. So just to get title or just to see title, what you have to do? You have to take your mouse over that tab and see in the box what you see written, that's basically the title. So usually when we test, we check these types of titles, whether these titles are batching or not. And we usually check the titles, what's the title of that current page. So just to get those titles, we'll see what method we have to use here. So as usual, I'll create a new test case and name this as title page. And here, as usual, first I'll use open browser and second navigate to URL. Now I'm doing things manually because, and these tests basically you have to do manually because here it's like we are not tracking any elements. We are looking for the titles. So in this case, you have to write steps manually. There is no option. Just you can get these steps. You can get these steps through record. But the next step, what I'm talking about is to get title. You have to write steps manually. So which method is needed to get title? So here we have method named as get window title. So let's look for that, get window title. This is the one. So get window title will give you the title of that page. Now let's check the script section. And this is the script written. What basically we are looking for title. So now we want to check whether the title that we fetch is matching the requirements of our title or not. So just to do this, I'll just define a variable here. That means the value that I get, I'll store inside this variable. And I will print this variable. Now, once I print this variable, this will give me the value of title that's fetched. Now, this thing you have to come and do in script. Manually, if you do this thing, then in that case, maybe it's possible. It's possible that we can do, but again, you have to remember the methods. You have to remember the print line. So it's better, why don't you come to script and write it here. So just when you are switching screens, you'll switch this way. Click on manual, you're into the manual screen. Click on script, you're in the script scene. Now everything is done. Now let's run this test case. So when I run this test case, just to check the output, the print statement, we need to move to the console window. And you see the console window is below here, just next to this log viewer. So when I click on this console window, basically let this one run. And this is the step that we are working on, test case title page. So after this, you see here in print statement, because you have written the print statement, this shows the title of that page, which you have right now seen. So this is the title of the page. If you want to check back, just go back here, take your mouse over it, and you'll find that title. Online training, dash courses, and certification / ITLearn 360. And that's what we get the title here. So basically, if you want to print the title or if you want to print any output, just in script, you have to store that particular in variable and then print it out just to check the details, whatever you are fetching or whatever you fetch is similar to what you are expecting. And also you can write here conditions like if the title, by default, you know the title, like you know that the title is this. So you can write the condition that if this value is equals to the next value, that means the test case, basically you can say the value match and the test case will pass. So just you have to remember that the method needed to get title is get window title. This will give you the title of current page. That's what the job of title is. We'll talk about the actions in upcoming videos. Let's talk about the actions in website. So these actions, basically we come across these actions. We need to know what these actions are actually. So basically there are 3 different types of actions that we perform through our keyboard or mouse. And these actions we'll try to automate. Now, what are these actions like? First one is right click. Second one is mouse over. And the third one is drag and drop. Now, if you talk about these actions, we'll go across each and every action one by one. And I'll tell you these functionings are very easy. Just you have to follow the way how it works. Now let's talk about right click. So let's understand what exactly we are going to do here. So this is the website. And in this website, you'll find a button. Oh, it says page not found. Let me do it again. Oh, maybe because of this, I have given forward extension. Yeah, I'll remove this thing from here. Good. Now here, you see this button over here, right click me. I'm trying to press on this button and you see nothing is happening. But when I do right click here, I get different options here. Now, when you get these types of scenario, how you will handle these type of scenario, just we'll see in this code. So if you get a function to do that at some particular place, you have to right click and just you have to see the options available there, then how you will automate this section. Let's see that. As usual, I'll go to Katalon Studio. Here I'll create a new test case. And this time I'll name the test case as right click. Now, a new test case is built. Just a small thing that we are going to do here is, now you see, I'll show you the process, like how you can record steps and then change it manually. So I'll click on this record web and I'll pass the website link from here. I'll take the website link from here. That is this one. Copy it and I'll pass it here. Now I click on, and I'll expand this part as well. I'll click on record. So this will open the browser. And next one, it will navigate to this URL that's passed here. And the third one is I'll click on this button. And at last, I'll close this browser. Now the thing is here, I'll just save this script. As usual, I've saved. I'll do OK. And get back to my manual steps. So this one here, basically, it's taking click. And what we are trying to do here is right click. So I'll just double click here and change this click to right click. I get this option and done. Let me save this and run this test case. So it's the test case is running, and here basically the web page will open and function accordingly. So it's taking time. Yeah, the website is open, goes to that button and right click is performed, but I'm not able to see that. If you want to see that, let me delete this close browser step, run it again. Maybe this time you will see the thing happening. So this opens the website. Yeah, the website is opening in the browser, and you see right click is performed. See how simple it is. Just you have to do this much, and right click will perform in any section. So if you come across this scenario, just use the right click method, or you say the right click option, and you'll be able to see how this is working. That's all in this video. We'll talk about the other options in upcoming videos. Now, the next options that we are going to perform here is the mouse over. So before doing this mouse over, let's understand what exactly the mouse over is. So if you watch the Amazon website, here mouse over is like taking your mouse over some particular element. So this is one of the element. You take your mouse over it, and once you take your mouse over it, you have these options available. Now, once you remove your mouse from there, these options are gone. So just you take your mouse over it, these options are there, remove it, option is not available. Now, how to do this? Like take your mouse and again, select this option from there. Let's see that. So again, let's get to Katalon Studio, create a new test case, and this time name the test case as mouse over. Sorry, it's like I created a folder. Let me delete this. And let's create a test case. So right click, go to new test case, and let's name the test case as mouse over. Fine. This time I have to pass the Amazon website. Now again, I'll go through the record process, and then I'll do the things. Basically, I'll do the things manually. So here I'm into Katalon Studio. Now I'll click on the record, and from here I'll pass Amazon and expand this section and record it. Yeah. So this opens the browser. Once the browser is open, then I take my mouse over here. Basically, I click on this. Now it's taking me to the other page. That's one problem. I move back, I take my mouse over here. Now once my mouse is over here, then I select an option from this. So I do create a list. And this option is selected. At the end, I close this. And the next thing what I do is I save this script. So when I save this script, now I have to do a small changes here. This was the section where I used to do mouse over. So just like you did in right click, here you will do for mouse over. Just change the option from click to mouse over and done. It's so simple, just nothing to think about. So these steps are simple. Just what you have to focus on, which option or which item you have to use here. It's mouse over, just you have to remember that, and just you have to perform that. If a step is added extra, then in that case, delete that step. If you don't need it, remove it from your test case. Then it will work fine. Now here, let's see how it's functioning. So you see here, basically mouse is over it. And again, the click is moved to create a list, clicked, done. So that's how the mouse over thing works in case of Katalon Studio. So this is how you'll use the mouse over. Now in next video, we'll talk about the next action, that is drag and drop. Here, we'll talk about drag and drop actions performed in website. Now we'll see how this drag and drop looks like first, and then we will try to write test case for this. So this is the page where you'll find drag and drop. And what we are doing basically here is we drag element and drop it to its target. That's what drag and drop do. It looks very simple, but here we have to focus on few points that you will come across when you are testing a website. So you need to focus on that. Now, first thing what we have to see is, you see this drag me my target, this element, this box. You see this box stays inside this section. So it's not back to the website section. So from here, you can figure it out that this is not part of a website, but it's a part of this section, which is shaded, this line section. Now these, if you see these clicks, these are parts of website, but this is not the part of website. This is part of this section. Now, what is this section? Usually in website, you'll come across a term that is called as iframe. That's basically used for framing a section. So when you right click on the outside border and then you do inspect, you say you'll get here in code iframe. This is what iframe is. So iframe is used for framing a section and put some elements inside it. So the reason behind why I'm talking about this iframe is because you'll come across this in websites later. But why I'm talking about this is because this is one of the important parts. So if you want to perform any task in this section, that means if you want to perform task here, you want to drag something and drop it to the target, then in that case, the objects that you fetch, that should be fetched in form of frames. That means along with the objects, the iframe object should also be fetched. I'll show you this thing while automating, then it will be more clear to you. So here, let's get back to Katalon Studio and again, create a new test case. So I do that, I create a new test case, and this time I name it as drag and drop. That's one. Now in this drag and drop, what you will do, first you put the website link. So we will use spyware. We will not use the record one because record is not able to track this drag and drop thing. So the better option is click on spyware, pass the website link that's passed here, click on start. And once the website is up, then here, this is the frame section. Now how you will capture the frame as well as the element thing together. That's the challenge here. So what you have to do, take your mouse over this, drag me to my target, click on this or move this, drag me to my target some places and press Control and that key what I was talking about that's used for capturing an element. Now you see here, when I press Control, it's like you will press multiple times, then you will get it. Maybe first time you don't get. So you just press Alt. You see here it's written capture object Alt and that key you'll find in keyboard. So when you press here, you see the capture object type side. Here you see it's written iframe. Iframe comes along with drag me to my target. So what I will do, I'll just change the name of this object as source element. Fine. Now let's talk about the next one and do the same thing. So I click it again. Wait a minute. I press Control and that key again to get the target element. Now this is the target element. So just go and change the name of target. Make it as target. So why I'm giving these names source and target is like when you give this proper names, basically it will be easy for you to track. And just click on, after this track this is given, just click on save script or you click on this save button. So when you do this, basically this name is not changed, but it's fine. You know about this is source and the other one is target. So when you place OK, so the objects are tracked here. That's fine. Now what we have to do here? Now we have to try our test case the way we do. So what our test case and what our steps are here. Our steps are just go and first get the source element and drag and drop it to the target. That's our task here. So as usual, first thing what I'll do here is I'll add the steps like open browser. That's done. Second one will be navigate to URL. That is this one. I'll paste the URL value here. Third one is click on the source element. That is this one. So here, basically when you double click, you get this option. Now you have to figure it out. This one is the object which you are looking for. Or you see this one, drop down ones. So here you have to pass the source element. That means click is applied on source element. Now the next thing, what you have to do here is add next step, and you have to use drag and drop to object method. When you use this drag and drop to object, so it's asked for two values. First one is source and next one is target. So from here again, I'll pass this source value. This is my source. And here I'll pass my target value. Where I'll get the target? I'll get the target from here. That is this one. So both the values are passed and done. So remember, drag and drop always takes two values, one source and other one is the target element. Now when you run this test case, you'll see the changes and you'll be able to figure it out what's happening here. So when you run the test case, the element will drag and drop to its location. So let's see what's happening here. Let's see the source and target thing. You see, no, not this one. You see this one. The drag and drop thing is working. The element is dragged and dropped to its location. So it's dragged from its place and dropped to its location. That's what's happening here. So basically, the test case passed and everything is working fine. So remember, for drag and drop, two things are important, source and target. You have to pass them both to make this happening. That's how these actions are performed in a web page. Now we are going to talk about the advanced part of Katalon Studio. So we have seen the features like how to automate websites, what are the features that comes along in website that we have to automate. Now what we are going to learn is how to perform test suite. Basically, test suite means like here we are going to perform some operations that's already available in Katalon, and we need to know that how to use them and what's the use of those functions. So before moving to this test suite, let's study about this test suite. So test suite, it's a collection of multiple different or duplicate test cases. So it's collection of multiple different or duplicate test cases. Like you see in this diagram, here the test suite says that if you have multiple test cases like test case 1, test case 2, test case 3, test case 4, 5, 6, 7. So if test case 1 and 2 defines login, so this will be like these two sections define login. So I'll put this inside one test suite. Now, if this section defines, if these three sections defines transaction, so this one will put it inside the second test suite. Same with the third one. If the sixth and seventh test case defines logout, we'll put in third test suite. Now, the reason behind doing this is that if we put these test cases inside a test suite, then based on our requirement, we can run our test cases. That's the best thing here. So we can easily run multiple of test cases, just putting it inside the specific test suite. Second, modify execution informations. So you'll find some informations like how much you want to delay or what will be the retry time. So if you want to pass these things, you can pass it inside this execution information. Now timeout. So basically here you get an option to put timeout so that you can set a timeout. That means for this timeout, this part of code will hold, or just you want that it should take a break. So there you can pass a timeout. Again, the retry facilities are also here. If you want that, if a test case failed and you want to retry them, so you can do through test suite. Now, manage test case list, what I already talked about, execute a test suite. So basically, test suite helps to run multiple test case in one. That's the story behind. Now, how's that possible? Let's see this in code. So this is our test cases. You remember we have already done multiple of test cases back, like we have written test cases in specific folder, fill form, mode of testing. Now just to use test suite, what we will do. So to use test suite, we will come to this test suite folder. You see here. So in this test suite, we'll create a new test suite. So from here you go to new, and from new go to test suite. So I name the test suite here as test suite 1. And I say, okay. So when I do this, you see a test suite 1 test case will be created here. It's like it's working a bit slow, but this will get created. Yeah, it's getting. So in this test suite folder, you'll create a test suite. And once you create the test suite, you'll find a blank screen. And just in that blank screen, you have to add your test cases. So here, this is test suite. This is your blank screen. Now, what you have to do here is you have to click on add. And when you click on add, you get this option. So from this fill form, you can select which test case to execute. Like you want to execute these 3 of them. So just select those 3 test cases, or just you want 4 of them. Or if you want complete, you can select this folder. So just press OK. So when you do this, all the 4 test cases are added over here. Now, if all the 4 test cases are added, that means all 4 test cases will work. So when I click the run button, you see what happens. So it says it's launching test suite, and it's like 0%. So this thing is going around. Launching test suite. And yeah, it's waiting for Chrome to open. So basically, these all is inside test suite 1. All the 4 test cases are inside test suite 1. And let's see how it's working. So when you see the outcome, you'll get to know that basically what this test suite is doing and what exactly we are targeting in this case of test suite. So yeah, you see the Chrome driver is opening, and let's see the outcome. So the first time, the alert test case is working. Now still it's waiting. Second time, the second test case will work. That's the fill form test case. So that one is working. So just the sequence in which you have defined the test case, the same in that sequence, the test case is working. So second one also executed, automate form. Now after this, drag and drop will work. And at last, this mouse over will work. So there were some issues with this mouse over, and because this retry is implemented by itself. So you see this retry is implemented here. Now the mouse over is working. So something failed because the very first time something went wrong. So this retry was applied by itself, and now all the test cases are done. So we have 4 test cases, and you have noticed that all the 4 test cases are working one by one. That's the best thing about it. As well as if you see a test case failed, then again it retried, just showing you that basically what went wrong. So we don't need to go and run it again. If something goes wrong, that thing will retry again. So that's the thing about test suite. Basically, you can put the test cases in form of collections, and based on that collections, the test case will execute. So once all the test cases are executed, now what's happening here is it will generate a report by default. So when you come to this report folder, you see in this folder, a report is created for test suite 1. Now open this, and you see a report is generated here. Like what's the time taken for the first test case to execute, it passed or failed. All these details are mentioned here, as well as its summary of the test case is here, execution setting is here, execution environment is here, everything is here inside the report section. So that's what you see. The best part of this is like it's generating the report along with my test cases. Now, one more thing that you'll notice here is that if in case you have 4 test cases and you want to skip any one of them, so just go here, click on this checkbox. So what will happen this time? Only 3 of the test case will execute. It will skip one of them. That's the good thing about this test suite. And one more thing, the execution information, what I was talking about. So you see in this execution information, by default, it was written retry failed execution immediately. So this thing was retried thrice. That means 3 times this. If the test case would fail, it will retry itself for 3 times. Now here you can change these details. Like if you want, you can change these details based on your requirements, based on your choice. So execution information, before executing a test case, you can add your own informations to your test cases. So that's all you get in test suite. And basically this test suite is used for generating reports along with executing test case in collections. That's the concept of test suite. Hello, everyone. In this video, we are going to talk about the test suite collection. So in last video, we talked about the test suite. There we saw how we can group our test cases at once. So now in this video, we will create test suite collection, and we'll see how we can group these test suites at once. As well as we'll see how we can execute the test suite collections and generate report. So first, what is test suite collection? So it's collection of test suites. And why it is required? To group the test suite logically, to run test suites in sequence or in parallel, like both the options are here, to run test suites on multiple browsers or environment. Now, when you are trying to test basically a website, then you will test on different browsers. So it's like you need to test on Chrome browser, you have to test on maybe the Firefox, maybe Internet Explorer, or Edge Chrome. So basically you have different options to test. And when the test case pass in all these browsers, then you say that, okay, it's working fine in all the browsers. So that thing when we do, usually in case of automation, we write code separately, we pass the drivers accordingly and run it. But here what happens, we have the drivers by default. So we'll use them at different platforms. So we'll see how this thing is happening in this test suite collection. So just inside this test suite, I've created 2 test suite, one for the fill form, one for the other one, modes of training. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a test suite collection here. So I do right click here, go to new. From new, I go to test suite collection and write test suite collection and name it as 1. So now when you do this, you get the, here you will get this section where you can add your test suite. So when you click on add, you get these options to add test suite. So first I add the first test suite. So basically in the first test suite, we have all the fill forms related, the fill form folders related test cases. So that will execute. Now the second one is I'm adding test suite 2. So basically now both the test suites are added. Test suite 1 as well as test suite 2, both is added. Now the first test suite I will run in Chrome, and the second one I'll run in Internet Explorer. Or basically you can see in Edge Chromium, because I have this in my system. I don't have Firefox and these all. So I'll go with this one. I press OK. Now you see both these test suites are running on different platform. One is running in Chrome, other one is running at Edge. Now here it says execution mode. So basically you can put the execution mode in sequence or in parallel. So I'll prefer doing in parallel, because when we run the test cases in parallel, it's like you'll get both of the drivers working together. So now once this is done, let's save this. And here we will not run the test case. In fact, we will execute the test suite. So basically to run the collections, you need to click on execute button here. So when you click on this execute button, now the test case will start running. So let's see how it works. So first the test suite collection one is started. So the first thing, it's like it will start on the Google Chrome browser, the one that is mentioned first. So that one is opening. Basically, yeah, this is the Chrome browser. It's working here. So once this is done, you see the test suite one, basically it will take all the test cases. So it's going to take time. Now at the same time, if you notice below, Edge Chrome is also open. Now here we are doing the login port, basically the mode of testings, which we have done it before. So at one platform, we are running this Edge, and this at the same time in Chrome browser, we are running the Chrome thing. So you see Chrome is working as well as Edge is working. So both the drivers are working together, Chrome as well as Edge. That's what we are doing testings. Basically, you can see here. And that test suite collection help us to do. So once you have figured out your test in test suite, using test collection, you can run on multiple browsers, and these browsers are running parallel. So that's the best thing about test suite. If you talk about, that's the reason why we prefer test suite. So it's like at the same time, I'm working on two different browsers. And this gives us, like, this saves time, as well as we say we are trying multiple folders at the same time. So you see, this is the best thing about the Katalon. It gives you these types of facilities that basically make things easier for you. Now, if you just try the same thing in a different way, if you write the test cases and run it, it will take time. So it's better write the test cases, create a collection, and just generate that test cases, or just run the test suite, and you will get the outcome. Now, just like in test suite, the reports was generated, same like here, you will have the reports of the test suite collection as well. So basically, these all features are based on the requirements we are having. If we are trying to run multiple of cases, like we have lots of test cases to run, so in that case, we can go for test suite. Now it's like we have like fixed number of test cases that, okay, in this folder I have to just run these many test cases. So in that case, you can go for test suite. Now, when you go into this report section, so last time we generated report for test suites as when we created the test suite. Now this time we have generated the reports for test suite as well as test suite collections. So you have reports for all three of them if you see. Now this is the one basically generating the test report. So from here you can see the details. If you click on show details, this will give you the details of test cases inside it. So all the test cases that they passed, what's the timing, everything you will have it here. And same is here with this. This gives you the detail in form of like, okay, these were the test cases, how much time it took, all the details are here. So along with the test cases, the reports are available here as well. So that's the beauty of test suite collection, and that's why we use test collection in Katalon Studio. In this section, we are going to talk about the custom keywords. So let's first understand what is custom keywords. So custom keywords allows users to define their own custom keywords or method to extend the capability of Katalon Studio. So if you have seen the Katalon Studio thing, then here you have inbuilt methods. Basically, this is built-in keywords, and this is utilities that's available here. So just like the utilities are available here, like this, we can create our own custom keywords. And you know about this built-in keywords. You have built-in keywords for web UI that you already use. It's like for alert, you have different options that you have already used. Again, Yeah, for attributes, we have got these. Again, you see browser. So you have done these all for basically the built-in keywords. Now what we are going to do, we are going to build our own custom keywords. So this section is empty. So you can build on your own custom keywords and just perform the testing. Now, how these the custom keywords will be created, and basically what exactly this custom keyword is doing. So just let me take a test case. Like think about this is one of the test case. Now, in this test case, if you are familiar with this test case, let me run this. It's a closed browser, so let me open this website here. So this is the website link. Now here, in this drop down, you have different words here. So custom keyword, basically why we create these custom keywords, just to identify or just to know whether the elements are present or not. Like in this drop down, you find multiple of elements. You tested one of the elements. Now, if in case you want to check that at the same time, the other element is available in this drop down or not. So just to test that, we can create our own method, and that method we can use it as custom keyword. So we can put it just before the drop down, just to check whether that element is exist or not. So let's understand this thing. Let's do this practically, then you will get the clear vision of this custom keyword. So let's follow the step. So the first thing what you will do here is, you'll go to this custom keyword from here, you'll go to this keyword section. Now in this keywords, basically you see, you have a folder named as keywords. And in this keywords, basically you have to add your methods. So first what you will do, you will create a package here. So right click, go to new, from new, go to package. And in this package, name the package. So I name it as com dot. Usually you get this, like here you can do create new package. So here you can create your own package. So I name this as com dot utilities. So you see a package is created here. Now inside this package, you'll create a new keyword. So when you do new keyword, you need to give the class name. So right now I give the class name as custom utility. So inside this package, I'm giving a class name. Now it says generate sample keywords for web. I'm generating a sample keywords for web because we are working on the web section. So we are using that generate sample keywords for web that we are doing. Okay. So I'll show you, like when we generate this sample, you'll get to know that how this looks like. So this is how the sample thing is. Basically, you see, this is the sample keyword. So what we are doing here is, first we are creating methods and we are using this keyword annotation. This keyword annotation basically identifies the keyword, and then you see you can write your test case based on your requirement. Whatever your requirement is based on that. So this is a sample, you can say sample keyword created. So I'm removing this sample one and I'll create my own. You know my test scenario, what it is. It's like I have to check whether the elements are present in dropdown. And for that, I'm writing a sample keyword. So first thing, just to create methods in case of Katalons, you will write this def keyword. And again, you will write you'll write the method name. Just the method name can be anything. I'm giving the method name as check drop down list. So basically, this is my method name. Method name can be anything you like. Now, next thing, I'm using one of the data type as Boolean. That's basically used to represent true and false state. So I say Boolean flag is equals to false. That means by default, I'm putting the flag as false. Now what I have to do next is, for web element, we have to create a web element. Now you know that this web element is basically a part of Selenium that's used for defining the web elements. Now because I have already created a sample keyword, so these, you see, these packages are already imported. Like these packages are already there, but still I'll show you how to bring these packages into use. So I write web element, I give the name of the element is equals to, now here I write web. Now when I write web, I press Control spacebar. So when I press Control spacebar, I get all the options basically related to web UI. Sorry, I missed UI. So I write here web UI. Now, when I write this, you see I get all the web UI related keywords. Now, what I'm using here is web UI common helper. So web UI common helper, we are using it. Now, using this web UI common helper, I'll call the method as find web elements. Now you see, find web elements is looking for two values. First thing, it's looking for object. Second thing, it's talking about the timeout. Now in this list, what I will do, I'll pass this object thing. So I'm creating a separate reference for this object. And here I create a second reference for option. So in this test object, I'll pass the object. Basically, the object that we will pass from our test case that will come here. That I'll show you how this is flowing. Now I'll pass some timeout here, 20 seconds. I'm giving the timeout. In case something goes wrong, we'll have a hold of 20 seconds. Now, next thing is we are trying to select the, basically we are trying to select the drop downs. Now, just to select drop downs, you will use the select class. So select is the class that's used to select the drop downs. So I write again, select DL is equals to select, and in brackets, I pass element. Basically, the element is the one that contains my drop downs. Now inside this, sorry, because we are doing drop downs, so it's obvious that we have multiple of values to check. So that means these values will be in looping form. So I'll use for loop here. So using for loop is, again, that helps us to get the data in form of looping. Now here I say for loop, I write the name, I give the name for this loop, as well as I'm trying to get all the options, basically all the options available in drop down. I'm trying to get that. So now this select is basically selecting all the elements. Once the elements are selected, I'm trying to get all the options. Now inside this for loop, what I'll do, first I'll write if condition. And inside this if condition, I'll say element dot get text. So I'll try to fetch the text. And if the text is equals, if the text is equals to the option that we pass, if the text is equal to the option we pass, then in that case, we'll say print element exists. Now, if this is not possible, then in that case, we will write else print element not exists. Now, this is the code I have written. Just to run this method, we will use this keyword. We need this word keyword, @keyword, because this keyword will basically help you to run the custom thing. Now, I was talking about this import thing, like how to import these data. So just like if I remove this import line that is present by default here, if I remove this thing, you see you'll find error here at web element. You see that? Now, what do you have to do? Once you save this, you'll find red lines here. So you take your mouse over here, press Control space. When you press Control space, you get in option this web element org.selenium. You have to import this. Just you have to import this and use it. So now here you see this web element is import. Now the next thing is, let's save this. Now this select is also giving problems. So again, do the same thing. Press Control space. Sorry. Take your mouse over it. Press Control space. Now for select, you see again, you get select org. Basically, these are all from Selenium. So just we have to import those packages. Now save this. This package is also imported. Now everything is done. So now my custom keyword is created. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to apply this custom keyword to my test case. So I'm trying to apply this keyword before this. Before the drop down is like when we are trying to apply drop down, before that, I'm using this custom keyword so that I get that drop down. Now I do add. When I click add here, So basically when I click add, like here, let's delete this. Before clicking add, you click on this drop down. So when you click on this drop down, you will get all the options here. So here you have to look for custom keyword option. Click on custom keyword. Now this went to the last. So let me remove it from here. Let me click here at line number 12 because we have to add next to that. Click on this drop down, come to custom keyword. Now custom keyword is here. And because you have only one custom keyword, so in this package, you have this check drop down list as your custom keyword. So that's added here. Now in this, you have to pass the object value, the object where you are trying to apply this custom keyword. So in these pages options, you have all the objects available. And this is the object for dropdown. So I pass this object. And in value, you have to check which value you want to compare. So here I want to compare the value as USA. So now if you see in this case, here, basically, sorry, in this website, like the website that we are using here, in this website, I'll copy the website here, yeah, and put it here, paste it here. And in this like drop down, you have different options like you have here USA, as well as India, Ethiopia, and France. So I'm selecting for that term, USA. Now let's get back here and understand the complete flow now. See, after this input horse, when it comes here, it looks for this custom keyword that you have created. From this custom keyword to this custom keyword, two things are passed. First, this object is passed. That is the object that I passed here. Second thing is the value is passed. What's the value? That is US. So in this method, when this method is called, so to this method, this object is called, wherein this object value is passed, and this is the option that we are trying to compare. So based on this object, we are trying to get the elements. Once the element is fetched, then we are trying to select all the datas inside it. Once the datas are fetched, then we try to get the options. Once all the options are available, then we try to compare this, whether the option match to the option that I have passed, that is US, that option. So basically, that's the whole story here that we are working on. Okay. So now if you see this value, if you see this code in script mode, you will see custom keyword is calling this utility package. From here, it's calling the check drop down list, basically the method. And there it's passing the, basically it's passing the object of that particular drop down and the option value that we are trying to compare here. So once this is done, now let's run this test case. Make it in manual form and run this test case. So now once you run this test case, you will get the output in console window. So let's run this test case and check the console window. So the form is open, values are passed, the drop-down thing is performed, and I hope everything is passed. So the test case will pass as well. Yeah, the test case is passed without any error. Now go to your console window, and you see here you get this output, element exists. So basically, the element exists message is here visible. That's what we do in case of drop down. And this is how we apply this element exists because the condition was there. So element exists method is because this if condition matched, so that element is exists there. Now, one more thing, what we missed here is we didn't return here the flag value because the flag value was false by default. So because if the element exists, then in that case, we have to return the flag value as true. Because if we don't return that, then in that case, you see this test case will keep working. And next time you will get element not exist, element not exist. So by default, this flag value was false. I have to change this flag value to true. So that once it's true, that means this if condition will not work again. And if you know the working of if case, you know that if case works till the condition is true. Once it's not, because the condition is not true, then it goes to the false section. So because the condition is true and this value is true, so it will not go to the else section. The if section will execute. Now let me run this again. This time you will get only one output in the console window, that is element exists. Now let's check the console window. And you see, this time you get only one output, that is element exists. So I missed that true, a flag is equals to true. So because I have made it now true, so this if condition stops there and I get the expected output. So because the value is there, so I get element exists. So this is how we can add our own custom keywords and generate test report accordingly and just check whether the custom keyword is working or not. So the job of this custom keyword, as it goes with definition, what it's doing, it's basically doing to extend the capability of Katalon Studio once created. So that's what I'm doing here. So once this is created, basically the capabilities, we are extending the capabilities. We have the built-in keywords, but we are creating our own custom keyword so that we can use it at any point if we want. So that's all about the Katalon. That's all about the custom keywords. We'll talk about more topics in next week. Hello, and welcome to the most important part of Katalon Studio is how to read data from the Excel sheet. Now, this is very interesting. You need to know how to read data from the Excel sheet. So just to perform the complete process, we will create a separate test case and run it accordingly. So here you see, I've written the test. First, you create a test case. And basically, I'm going to do the testing as data-driven testing. Now, this is one of the terms that if you're not familiar with, I'll tell you about. Data-driven test is basically that type of testing where you are trying to test the test case with multiple data for a single test. That means you have written one test case and there you are passing multiple test data. That's what data-driven do. So now let's write first test case. So I'm creating a new folder for this test case and name this folder as data-driven test. Fine. Inside this, let me create a test case. Let me take the common one, that is login process, because we have used this in all the scenarios. So let me take any one of the test case from here. So I'm not writing the test case because before we have seen how to write test case. So I'm just saving some time from here. And what I'm doing, I'll just copy the script and put the script here. So this data-driven testing, you can say like this test case is written. So now once the test case is written, what you have to do is just you have to go to test suite and there you have to create one suite here. So I create a new test suite and name this suite as data-driven suite. Now, to this data-driven suite, I will add the test case. So the test case is this one. So I add the test case. Till here, I think you know all of this. You have done it before as well. So now the test case will be added here. Why is it not added? Okay. Just have to click. Okay. Now done. Okay. So this data-driven is added. So this test case is added. Now, once the test case is added, what you have to do here is, first in this login process, you have to add variables to your test case. So go to this variable sections and here create some variables. So click on these variables. These variables are here. Now, here you have to create two variables. One as username and here the values will be in form of basically it will be form of string. Again, the next one I'll create the variable name as password. Now both the variables are created and just save this. So I've created two variables, one as username, other one as password. And what I will do to my test case, I will add these variables. So here instead of passing the username in this form, I will pass the values in form of, so go to value type, click on variables and pass the variable name here. So the variable name here is username, pass it. Now for password, I'll do the same. In input section, I'll go, first I'll change it to variables. Again, I'll change the value from here to password. Fine. Now I'll make this as set text because encrypted is good when you are using it, when you are straight away trying to pass. Here you can do set text. So I'm doing few changes, like I've created variables. Just I've created variables for naming the sections and like storing the values here for the variables, as well as I'll pass this variable. Based on these variables, the values will be detected. Okay, that's one thing. Now, what's next? So the next thing is we have to add basically the Excel file to our test case. Now you see I've created one Excel sheet, and in this Excel sheet I've created the first column as username, second column as password, and here I've passed the values accordingly. That is, these two values I've passed. So I'm writing the test case for this. Now, just to add this Excel sheet, so in this data file, now here you have data file folder. So in this data file, let's create a test data, and I'll name this data as data 1. Now the type of data varies here. You can go for Excel file, you can go for CSV file, you can go for database data. Basically the database from the SQL, you can fetch it from there, or you can create your own internal data. Right now my focus is on Excel file. So I click on this and I say, okay. So when I do this, you see data 1 is created. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to browse for my Excel sheet. So my Excel sheet is in desktop. Now this is my Excel sheet. I'll take this Excel sheet. Now you see when I browse this Excel sheet, the username, the password is here, the sheet name is here, everything is here in data 1. So we have all the data in data 1 stored. Now what's next? Now let's get back to what happened. It's saved. Okay. Now let's get back to this data-driven suite where we are writing the data-driven the suite test case. Here, click on show data binding. So now what we are going to do is we are going to bind data. And by default, you see the variables that we created, that is username and password, is here. What do you have to do next? The next thing what you have to do, you have to read your test data, that is this one. So when you read this test data, then the values like this test data is here. Now, you have to mention that basically when you are reading this data, from where you are reading it. So basically you want to read the column. So that's one thing. What's next here? What's the test data here? So double click here. First I have mentioned the column of the Excel sheet. So you are reading the column of Excel sheet. Second is data files. That is from test data, you are taking the data files. And if it talks about the values, then in that case, you click here and you are taking the username column. So what we have done, we have mentioned the type of data, that is column. We are taking from the column from this file, which I have mentioned over here. And which column from there? For the first one, I'm taking the username column. Now again, for second one, I'll say data column. Again, which test data? So it's like test data from here. This is the file with us. And here this time, which section you're going for? This time I'm going for password. So username and password is all added to our test suite. So now you see the process. Login process is written. Variables are defined there. The values to these variables are passed from the test data. Test data contains what? The file in the test data files that you have. So that means this is reading the Excel sheet. Once the Excel sheet is read here, then I mentioned that from this Excel sheet, I have to take the column. And which column? The username column. Again, in the next one, I set the password column. So the values in username and password will come one by one. And remember, I'm doing data-driven testing. That means for one test case, the data will run twice. That is, this particular test case will run twice. So what do you have to do? Now, just go straight away, click on run test case. So now you are running the data suite. Let's see how it executes. So the very first time, basically remember this will run twice because you have two different data for this. And we are picking the data from the Excel sheet. So the Excel sheet is also added. Now, this will run twice. So first time the Chrome driver will open and the username and password will pass here. And the test case will pass as well. So the website is open. Click on login button. Demo, password is passed, you are logged in. This is the first time. And again, it will close. Now this will open for the second time because this is called data-driven testing. Like we are passing multiple datas and for the same test case, these datas are working. Remember, this is a new terminology, data-driven testing. That's what data-driven testing do. Now this time again, the username, the password is passed, but because I have passed the wrong username and password, we are not able to log in. But if you see log viewer, here you will find this thing as both the test case pass. It's because I'm just writing a test case and I'm putting the data inside it. But if you would be looking for the next page, like from here, if you move to the next page where you are trying to check some landing values, then in that case, there is chances of failing a test case. So now the test case generated, and as usual, the reports are also generated. So you can have the report of this data-driven truth. So everything is mentioned here, though it shows both the test case pass, but the next time you see it was not able to log in. So if you want to get the fail condition, then you have to write one more test case. That is after login in next text or in next page, what you are trying to look, what you are looking for. That's the next test case. So this is how you can read data from the Excel sheet and create your own username, pass data to that, and execute a test case. That's all in this video. Thank you.